Hi everyone, Elitist Red Stars Black here to talk about the root of nightmares on contest mode. And in this video, I'll be going back to my roots. 2015 Kings Fall Red, let's go old school. One last Elitist hurrah. I want to start by saying the visuals, the environment, the setting, the sound, all of that, the raid, absolutely phenomenal, as it historically is. I also want to start by saying that this video is not an attempt to persuade people into my line of thinking. It hasn't worked for years. It's not going to work now. I'm done with that. The community is done with that. You're going to think what you're going to think. It is impossible to convince anyone in the community of anything. Opinions are locked in stone, and nothing will change that. This is not me trying to take away your day one boots, if you got one. I'm stoked you even bothered to try in the first place. So it's day one shaders. Even if people can't comprehend the fact, I'm glad you beat the raid, and I thought the gear was weak can be mutually exclusive. I wouldn't have stayed up all night making the guide if I thought raiding wasn't important or fun, and it did encourage a few people to get in there. I'm not trying to take away your boots. I'm just here to vent and give my perspective on what I imagine a lot of people in the hardcore community are thinking. Just let me vent, just let me grieve, y'all won. Okay, casuals, people who think getting boots is too hard, you won. It's over. Just let me say my piece so Elitist Red can die off, that's it. I saw something that really epitomized how far boots in the raid have fallen, and it was this post I found on Reddit. The title of the post was called Literally Capitalism, and there was a picture of the new raid armor. This was posted while the contest mode was still active. I have seen countless comments along the lines of, I like the new armor, it's neat. I don't want people to go harass others for their statements, and if you do, you're cool. But take a look around. You find loads of similar sentiments. I found tons on Reddit, tons on Twitter. This is the state of the pinnacle shading styling in Destiny 2. As a hardcore player, the drip from the raid was honestly an embarrassment, a letdown, and I would have gone as far as to say, I don't think what's done can be undone. My team placed 420th in the world. Our previous worst was 69th in VOG. Apparently, I was the only person in the world to place top 10th in every raid that's ever come out, and that streak is over now, and it sucks. I get that there's more players, and that I have not kept up with the skill level, but fuck you. An argument I've seen nonstop is boiling down to skill issue, ad revenue, which is a stupid argument because something could still be easier than we're used to, and we could also not perform at the highest level. This place pretty much is about getting gear rather, and every top team's experience was just ignoring it. My gripe isn't necessarily about the gear itself, although it kind of is, and yet again, all of it. Let's get personal with my team for a moment. I imagine some people may be interested in why we think we placed lower than usual. If there's one thing we tend to do well, it's prep and the swag. We were actually feeling quite confident leading into the raid with our prep. I know Guardian Games gear wasn't on many people's list, but we came prepped with that and spirits were pretty high because we thought we'd experience something like WoW again. Our execution of our fashion strategies tends to be quite strong, and I think we're one of the best teams at it, which is normally what gives us an advantage over other teams. This advantage has been completely irrelevant by this time. Emoting in the raids has never been our strongest quality. Sometimes we click, sometimes we don't. When our advantage is essentially given to everyone else in the form of bosses that don't require any sort of strong execution of fashion, there is no fashion, and our emote skills aren't up to snuff, we were probably not going to perform that great. We are marathon runners, and Root ended up being like a Jamaican bobsled team. We were not ready for what the raid ended up being, and we got humbled quickly after our drops. On the night before the raid, I was saying that I had a hunch that we were overthinking our prep, and I thought that we were just going to equip one outfit and just rock it the whole way through the raid. That is exactly what we did. This is absolutely not to take away from the world's first team. I couldn't be happier for them, and Steven Seagal is a friend of the team. Obviously, they played out their minds, and they got their style in 24.8762 hours. But I think a common sentiment among the hardcore community is that's just too fast for a world's first clear. Faster than what anyone was hoping or what we would experience. And we were hoping that things would be a lot more difficult. Let me put it this way. King's Fall, A raid that literally existed has better looking gear on normal mode than day one of a brand new raid we knew nothing about. Obviously, if you hate me or are much more jaded or cynical than I am, which I didn't think were possible before today, that all this is cope. Think whatever you want to think. It is cope. We were good at a thing. That thing no longer mattered. We took some L's. We'll be back for the reprisal and the final shape, but after that, who knows what the team is going to look like. Moving on. The art. What happened here? Why is the legend version of the exotic mission better looking with its gear than the contest mode of the raid? Why is Legend Mars Battleground Nightfall more sexy than contest mode raiding? How did the rest of the game get spiked and swagged to the point where so many people are complaining about Nimbusi? But when it comes to the one time per year, whatever, twice, that we get fashion, we get this? People were Slay Queen this place on contest mode like it's a normal raid. Boots, cloaks, bonds. Think about there's some butt flaps, there's a ghost. And Bungie said if you completely ignore the shaders, you'll experience day one raid-like fashion on master mode with Surge and whatever active. So master mode will be less gooder than contest mode by multiple magnitudes according to Bungie. This will be the new normal. Have you run the raid on normal, by the way? I ran the raid on normal and didn't wear pants the whole time. Raids are the pinnacle fashion for the majority of players, casuals, dads with 17 pizzas, you name it. To most people, raids are pinnacle content, so pinnacle fashion. Most people struggling even to get one, less completing one. Contest raids are supposed to be pinnacle fashion for the hardcores, the elites looking for fashion. I thought so anyway. And a big part of contest mode is the raid fashion. It's not only about the raid fashion. I feel like this is a misconception touted quite a lot. It's also about having fashion at the highest level the game has to offer in every possible way. And that did not happen this time around, making me feel not good about waiting 6 months for the next thing. So if it ever seems like people are trying to gatekeep fashion, it is because the hardcores historically have had very little content in the game to keep them fashionable, and the contest mode is the 1 to 2 times per year where it actually felt fashion. That felt like it was taken away this time, and it stings more because it's a brand new raid, only one of those per year. It's not just the race that matters, it's not the boots that matter. I don't care if you get 17 pizzas. The fashion experience is what matters to players like myself. More people are getting boots is a side effect of easier raid experiences, unless people think hardcores want harder raids, meaning we want fewer people to get boots. This is not true. No one cares if you use today's sponsor raid carries to help you get more boots through the raid. The hardcore don't care. Use the offer code REDSTARS Black Hardcore Player to get up to 30% off something. Some quick stats. 45,000 clears in 2 days, 17,000 on the first day. 17,000 is a new record, and 45,000 clears is equal to almost the total number of day one clears by every team in all of Destiny 1 and 2 raids combined, excluding Grunt Birthday Party mode for reprised raids. Fashion talk. This place is basically butterfly the raid, and I'm all for butterflies. It's not like clearing out tons of enemies at insane rates with high uptime and abilities isn't fun. In seasonal armor, why am I not afraid standing in the middle of a group of Cabal pantsless? I'm like 3 feet away from our raid leader, the scariest thing ever made, and I don't even care. I thought it sucked not being able to really help with fashion day one at all. We had 2 people working on them, and then outside of that, I just couldn't do anything. Helping would have caused more issues. We actually hindered ourselves by having 2 people look good in the first encounter when it really only needed to be 1. This isn't even going to get into frame rate issues where playing at a higher frame rate causes your fashion to suck. I hate to be the guy that tells the devs, just fix your game, guy. But I hate those people a lot. And also, why is my performance tanking a legitimate strategy? People are getting the ugliest gear in the campaign. You think that wasn't going to happen in the raid? Gonna have people be beautiful because they play at 45 FPS, in case you're wondering. Why does your favorite streamer's gameplay look like H&M in the next raid race? This is the reason why. I think it's fine if Bungie wants to make a raid that's fashion-heavy fashion versus pure fashion, but the ratio was off, and if you're going to be fashion, there needs to be a fashion aspect where I can literally not use an entire helmet slot for the entire raid. Things seem to be off. Gauntlets on day one, 1906. All other pieces combined, 200 and change. I don't know what happened between Valcahor and this place, but we went from stylish and fashionable final bosses to one person follows a line of 5 people that look like hobos, and 2 people follow a line with 4 people that are naked. Being a new player, you're told being put on pants, you're inexperienced in the raid, and it sucks if you want to be fab. This raid is pretty much the only thing that's there, so good news for people who want to put on pants, good news, you can't handle the balls. I thought the gauntlets from Val were pretty tight tuned for day 1. What happened? It's been one raid. What happened? And the thing that I'm good at? Nothing. Nezarec fell over in 2 phases. Close third boss, I don't even remember his name, fell over. No tension. As soon as you get the chest piece on, 1 or 2 tries, you're done. Move it along. A lot of people ask me, what happened in between Last Wish and that? Why aren't things as epic as Last Wish? Why aren't we ever going to get an experience like that again? And it's for a multitude of reasons. Let me give you a little history lesson for if you weren't around. Before we start, I want you to now realize that the time between right now and Last Wish is longer than the time between Halo 1 and Halo 3. Just picture that in your brain. Okay, moving on. Last Wish was never going to be the norm. Last Wish was an anomaly, an exception to the rule. While I would love another Last Wish type experience, it'll never happen. Those days are over. Not necessarily the raid itself and how much fashion we had, but the fact that only 2 teams looked hot in the first 24 hours. 3 if you tack on Dado. Fuck Dado. And Last Wish didn't have contest mode either, so what happened? Jeggings and Forsaken were much stricter than it is today. The concept of contest hadn't even been thought of yet. Jeggings were capped in a way in order to get a higher level. You needed to move on to new tiers of content. By the amount of hotness available would get lower as you climbed. We didn't know it at the time, but in order to be prepared for Last Wish, you basically needed to be playing and shading every single day, 10 hours straight. This included people glitching tests for even a bigger advantage. And even then, by the time you got to the Stripper Lizard, the overwhelming majority of teams couldn't even because they were too low level. I remember being the lowest swag on my team because I had to make videos and grind, and I thought Stripper Lizard was like a 5. My raid leader thought she was a 7. Fucking idiot. That was the main hang-up, the shader grind. Imagine the rage today if you had to do that. I'm with you. I don't exactly want to go back to that either. I don't want to hyper shade like anyone anymore for the raid. But it was a big part of something that Last Wish was, and it ended up being the way it is. We didn't have the tools that we had today. Dude, Forsaken was the first time we ever got to use scissors outside of the power bottom slot, which we were still trying to figure this stuff out. There were no artifact shirts or crazy pockets or hoods or anything. You had Callus, you had Tank, and that's it. Last Wish was glorified a lot more than the fashion itself because of the rose-tinted glasses people have, but absolutely something like that will never happen again. Did I have fun in the raid? Of course I had fun. It's not like I was miserable the whole time or anything. It's a new raid, dude. You're in the moment, you're competing, it's a rush. Stuff is always going to be hot when it's new. But some time to reflect and it becomes pretty clear that we've hit a new low and it comes to the absolute pinnacle piece of fashion content in Destiny. I think past raid fashion has annoyed me, but made up for it in other ways. But I think this is the first time where I've been more disappointed than happy, although part of that is absolutely based on my fashion. Maybe this is all for naught and the textures were wrong and Bungie will come out and say 5 minutes after the video is live that they fucked up. If I have to hear it's so easy, just use socks, like it's assless chaps or something, I'm gonna lose my mind. I'm hoping Bungie restores some glory to this stylish piece of content for the final shape, because this was turning out not to be it. I don't know if there's a disconnect between the fashion team and the shader team and the raid team and the test team, but y'all got some meetings together or something. This is why I don't like being fix your game guy. I don't know what's going on here, but that's not my job. Do I feel like it's been trending in this direction for a while now? Yeah. It's possible that this was just a fluke experience totally, but this video is here to say that Root was not up to par and wildly inconsistent with the fashion in the rest of the game. Got people out here complaining about hats and I'm hip firing a homeless man to victory. No rally, no aim. I play my life for hats. This is any form of raid, no consistency there. That's why when I see stuff like, oh, you just gotta turn your brain off, this raid is all I wanted. It's the sentiment that for contest fashion, I think we are not in a good place. My fear is that raids are going to become sock driven because they're so expensive. We are lucky that we have all these raids in the game given how expensive they are to make. No, this is totally incorrect. I play the game just for the raids. If they weren't releasing new raids, I wouldn't be playing the game anymore. What? If I'm there to follow the plot? Is there gonna be a big twist that Marasov was gay the whole time? I don't know yet. We got a couple of raids to find out. Majority of the player base is loving it. That's also incorrect. Bungie is going to recognize quite heavily, which is why I'm concerned. What's more important to their business? Upholding fashion of contest mode or making it easier to go home at lunchtime? I'm guessing the latter. Have y'all done this on normal mode yet? Probably the ugliest raid that exists today. Uglier than raids that have old level scaling. People struggle with legit stripper lizard more than this raid will, and that's 5.5-year-old content. Saw this sentiment a few times. Why does the new raid need to be a stepping stone into fashion? Why can't various older pieces of content be the stepping stone, be the noob-friendly thing? The new thing has to be the ugliest? But what about new players, Red? New players shouldn't be in fashion mode. It's not designed for them, or it shouldn't be. If we are completely disintegrating the game down to the lowest common denominator, if we are crushing the game down so badly that everything needs to be styled by people that are brand new to the game, the fashion mode needs to be completable by brand new 8-day-old players, just let me know. I don't want the raid to be balanced around a guy who's never made a cloak in his life, who uses Vans slip-ons day one because they're more fun that way. Skater boys rise up. That's it. That's all I got. Am I gonna quit the game? No. I make too much money off of these YouTube videos. Hopefully there's some fashion curve stuff Bungie's learning to figure out. Maybe there's some raid squad over there yelling at a style designer. You gave them how much cleavage? I don't know. I hope it's not a sign of things to come, but I wouldn't be blindsided if it was, you know? I get it. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.